In 2020, as the COVID-19 pandemic crippled the U.S. economy, the federal government expanded unemployment insurance programs to provide rapid relief to millions of jobless Americans after the government shut our businesses down. And wouldn't you know it, all that money that began flowing sent out under loosened verification protocols, which created vulnerabilities that fraudsters exploited on an unprecedented scale. According to the Government Accountability Office, fraudulent claims siphoned off between $100 billion and $135 billion of our taxpayer money. This is about 1 in every $10 of unemployment benefits paid during the crisis were fraudulent. The fraud was determined to be a mix of low-level scams, such as individuals filing claims with stolen identities, to sophisticated international operations targeting state systems. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer uncovered massive fraud of $400 million in bogus unemployment payments. Money went to 25,000 people over 115 years old and 10,000 that were not born yet. I mean, this is ridiculous. With the technology that we have to cross-reference and verify data, it almost seems like this lack of validation and oversight was deliberate. Perhaps that's why there's so many government employees being let go. The Treasury Department paid out almost $7 trillion in fiscal year 2024. The Department of Labor estimates that about 21% of unemployment payments were improper, and for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program specifically, improper payment rates reached 35.9%. The onslaught of benefits distributions delayed payments for legitimate claimants, and nobody said a word on the media about it. State unemployment agencies were already strained by outdated technology and what we thought was chronic underfunding, but thanks to the Department of Government Efficiency, we now understand that there was plenty of money in the programs. In fact, there was so much money that hundreds of billions of dollars were being stolen and went completely unnoticed by all of these congresspeople that are now hell-bent on overseeing the Trump administration officials. Are you beginning to see the hypocrisy of these liars? In states like California and New York, hackers and organized crime groups exploited weak security, filing claims using stolen Social Security numbers or fictitious identities, including those of deceased individuals. The Department of Labor's Inspector General reported cases of prisoners collecting benefits and overseas syndicates, funneling funds into untraceable accounts. By 2023, audits revealed the scope of the theft. Over 2,000 individuals had been indicted, but only $6.8 billion of the estimated $100 billion plus in losses had been recovered. The sheer volume of fraud overwhelmed investigators, leaving billions in taxpayer funds unaccounted for. The federal response gained traction as public outrage grew. By early 2025, with the 5-year statute of limitations on pandemic-era fraud cases nearing its March 27 deadline, Congress acted swiftly. The House passed the Pandemic Unemployment Fraud Enforcement Act, with bipartisan support extending the prosecution window to 10 years. The legislation, spearheaded by Representative Adrian Smith, aimed to bolster efforts to recover funds and hold perpetrators accountable. At the time, the Department of Justice had 1,648 active investigations, and the Department of Labor was processing 157,000 fraud complaints. The bill's passage gave prosecutors critical time to pursue leads, many of which pointed to complex schemes involving cryptocurrency and offshore accounts. In 2025, under President Trump, federal authorities intensified their crackdown. The Department of Labor allocated $1.4 billion in grants to upgrade state unemployment systems, introducing biometric logins and AI-driven fraud detection to prevent future breaches. Law enforcement conducted raids across the country, seizing assets ranging from luxury vehicles to digital wallets. By mid-year, over 1,550 individuals had been convicted, with sentences totaling 39,000 months in prison. A notable case in Florida uncovered a ring that filed $50 million in claims using fake identities, some inspired by fictional characters. International cooperation also ramped up, with extraditions from Europe and asset freezes in tax havens like the Cayman Islands. Despite these efforts, challenges persist. The recovery of stolen funds remains slow, with only $1.1 billion recouped through investigations to date. The sophistication of modern fraud, coupled with the evolving use of digital currencies, has really complicated enforcement. States have been instructed to prioritize system upgrades, but the patchwork nature of unemployment programs is a challenge that continues to pose risks. Federal officials have called for standardized digital identity verification and mandatory audits for high-risk claims to prevent future losses. The scale of the fraud has also prompted broader discussions about the ability to balance rapid response aid with robust and effective oversight in times of crisis. The $100 billion unemployment fraud scandal related to COVID fraud is just a portion of the unemployment fraud. DOJ went back to 2020 and found $382 million in fraudulent unemployment payments since then. DOJ identified California, New York, and Massachusetts as the primary culprits, combining for $305 million of this thievery. Of course, what's the common denominator in all of those states? You probably got it. They are all blue states. While both sides have corruption, there does seem to be a preponderance in the Democratic Party. For many Americans who faced delays or denials during the pandemic, the crackdown offers a measure of accountability, though it can't undo the hardship caused by diverted funds. Policymakers are now focused on ensuring that future emergency programs are fortified against exploitation. As one Department of Labor official stated, the lesson is clear: speed of payments cannot come at the cost of security. With investigations ongoing and new safeguards in place, the federal government promises to put even more money back into the coffers of the people. And I think there's going to be some pretty good returns coming back to the people pretty soon when all is said and done. Every day it becomes easier to trust the plan.